Agenda item number 3, consider and take action to approve the certification of the 2014 tax anticipation note revenue. And this memo, I think, came from you, so William, so I'll ask you to lead us in this.
I have prepared a certification sheet that I will sign and be glad to read to the court. I've also prepared an adjustment that I would like each of you to sign, giving me the authority to make this adjustment. It has to do with the $5 million note, proceeds from the note that we're going to transfer to use those proceeds to help us get to the end of the year. If you would like, I'll be glad to read this.
Yes, go ahead.
Per chapter 111.0105 of the local government code, special budget for proceeds from bonds or other obligations, the Commissioners Court shall by amendment appropriate these funds into the county budget. Upon amendment of the budget, the county may make expenditures from these proceeds in the manner provided by chapter 111.0705 for expenditures for general purposes. Accordingly, this is to certify that additional note funds in the amount of $5 million have been received as proceeds from the sale of Bowie County tax anticipation notes for 2014 fiscal year. These funds are available for disbursement but were not included in the county adopted budget for the fiscal year. Therefore, the adoption of the budget amendment to appropriate these funds for spending these funds is appropriate. Signed, William Tide, Bowie County Auditor. So I would like for each of you to sign this, giving me authority to make that adjustment, if you would. It's pretty clear there. That's what I'm doing. One other thing that I would like, well, a couple of things I'd like to mention. I have here, and each of the commissioners and the county judge has a copy of our financial statements after we entered all the bills on Friday. And there were $708,000 worth of bills that hit the operating account as of Friday. Those have been recorded in this financial statement, our revenue and expense statement. After those are recorded, we have revenue of $23,814,477 and expenses of $24,250,422. And what that creates is a deficit at this point of $435,000. Okay? Now, we're gonna make this adjustment to the for the tax proceeds, but that's going to affect our fund accounting only. Now, when our outside auditor comes back and does the audit, there are certain adjustments and rules that he has to follow. Those are our generally accepted accounting principles of financial statements. That $5 million that we're recognizing now to pay bills will be adjusted and put back in as a note payable. So this deficit will continue to grow as we continue to finish out this year. And I can think of perhaps 3 vendors, I've got it here somewhere, 3 vendors plus the payroll, and I'm only counting the payroll through September. We've got 2 payrolls coming up. So we're going to have to meet the October 15th payroll before we actually start receiving any funds from our ad valorem taxes. If you consider the 2 payments that we will owe the bi-state, LaSalle, we owe them 1, and it's about $420,000. We've got, and I'm only counting 2 payrolls here, that's about $710,000. And then one other vendor, Wex Bank, where we pay the fuel for the deputies, we still owe them at least 2 more bills, which are about $20,000 a piece. That's $40,000. That's a total of almost $1.6 million, $1,600,000 that I know right off the top of my head we're going to have to pay. I mentioned in the bills today we've got $708,000 that we're paying. Of that, LaSalle was $420,000, and then we've got a large medical bill in there. But we still had about $250,000 of other bills. This $1.5 million or $1.6 million, that doesn't include all the other bills that we're going to pay. So the point is the deficit will continue to grow, and that's what will be reflected in the financial statements that Mr. Pruitt will prepare when they come into our audit. One other thing you need to understand, those financial statements, not this right here, not this, is what is looked at by Moody's and any other investors that we have. So we're gonna end up with a deficit. I don't know how much yet, but we will end up with a deficit. Now, I think it's great if we can use this $5 million to pay the rest of the bills and meet our payroll, but I don't want anybody to be misunderstood thinking that we have a surplus fund balance now, because we will not have. I want everybody to understand it. Now, let's talk about the tax note. I also prepared a couple of things for the commissioners to look at today. We've got in our operating balance right now on the cash position, everyone should have a copy of that, $684,000 in cash. Our payables that we're paying today that will hit that are $708,000. And then we've got a payroll in the middle of the month of approximately $340,000, which will leave us a deficit of 3.6, a minus amount of $364,000. So I'm going to move, we've got 1.933 million left in the note. I'm going to move all of that into the operating account so we can get through the rest of this month and hopefully through the middle, and hopefully it doesn't go any further than the middle of October. Now, Todd, if you have anything to add regarding what I said about the fund financials and the gap financials, I'll be glad to let you address that also.
Just that what you said is exactly correct. You've got in your audited financial statements that you get each year, you have several sets of information in there. You've got government-wide financial statements that are on the full accrual basis of accounting. You've got governmental fund financial statements that are on modified accrual basis of accounting. And you've got budgetary information that can be on the budgetary basis of accounting. So each one of those sets of information presents transactions differently. So in your government-wide and your fund financial statements, that $5 billion is going to show up as a liability. So you're likely going to have a deficit equity position. Now in your budgetary financial statements, you can treat that $5 billion as revenue so that you can spend it and it'll be positive over there. But you're right, when ratings agencies are looking at your financial information, they're going to be looking at a deficit equity position.
Which is what we were trying to say last meeting.
That's what we're going to say. Any other questions? Yes.
William, we will be receiving some sales tax on top of this as well.
Yes, and I realize that. We should get a payment sometime around the 15th, maybe $500,000. Yeah, there'll be other receipts. But my point is the receipts have dwindled. Sales tax would be by far the largest receipt that we get. But with what I quoted as bills, the $1.6 million, plus anything else that we have to pay, it's going to far outweigh that sales tax. And any other revenue that we receive.
And we'll actually have two sales tax payments that will count for this budget year.
That's true, however, when we make an adjustment this afternoon on our books, Todd's going to help with us this afternoon to make our adjustments. There's about 450,000 in there that from September of last year that we will adjust out. So that's going to affect our revenue, our sales tax revenue. We may get, now, as far as cash, yes, we'll only get one more through the end of September. I'm sure I'll confuse some people, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
And how much did we go expenses over revenue if we approve these payables today?
454,000. But because of the budget adjustment that Todd talked about, we are able to make those payments.
And in this exact budget year, the biggest problem that we faced was we removed $1.3 million, $3.298 million from revenues. We projected revenue, and we did that right at the end of the 10th month, I think, of the budget year. We had 2 months left to go when we found out that 2 of our commissioners had over-projected their revenues. And so...
well, there were a lot of places where we over-projected revenue. Jail revenue was way over-projected.
Not 1.3 million. All I said was the largest blow the current budget we're in is,
We over projected on all of our JPs, and I know that doesn't amount to a lot of money, but 7 of them is all over projected.
and yet this 1.3 million right now could be exactly where we're gonna wind up at the end of the
I'm not
month.
gonna project that. I will wait and see. I can give you, I can come up with an idea, but I'll keep that to myself.
But it is a reality that we reduced our revenues, and with only about 1/6 of the budget year left to do anything about that by 1.3 million. But we'd set the budget up on the basis of spending that 1.3 million, and only found out near the end of the budget year that that was not going to be available. And that helps put things in perspective a little bit. Now, you do need us to vote.
I would like for you to vote and
then-
each of you to sign
And then
that.
we'll sign it. Chair, will entertain a motion?
So move.
Motion is made by Commissioner Stone to approve the certification of the 2014 tax anticipation note revenue. Is that accurate, the way it's written?
Or tax proceeds as revenue.
Say again?
Tax proceeds as revenue.
We have approved certification of the 2014 tax anticipation note revenue. Add the words what now?
Anticipation tax note proceeds as revenue.
Proceeds. Let me read that again. Motion is made by Commissioner Stone to approve certification of the 2014 tax anticipation tax note proceeds revenue. Is that your motion?
As I understand it.
He's happy with it.
I'll second it, but I have a question.
Seconded by Commissioner Carter. Now we have discussion.
According to Tom Pollen's letter, this was borrowed as revenue, correct? Is the reason that we're able to
Well, there was
certify it
some
as revenue?
confusion about that. When we first started trying to get a note, I was told to prepare a cash flow statement that was sent to the Attorney General. And it was my understanding it was a cash flow tax note. There are two separate kinds, but I guess as we got into a budget deficit situation, it was determined that we could use it for the budget deficit at that time. But I was under the impression that we were borrowing it for a cash deficit.
But according to Mr. Pollen, the
But
way he
Mr. Collins, we
presented,
can use it for this, that's correct.
the way he presented it to the Attorney General was as a revenue.
I don't know how he presented it to the Attorney.
Well, that was what I understood in the letter that he
Okay.
gave us.
I will make sure I have the motion right.
And it's on your recording.
Right, y'all have said it 3 times, 3 different ways.
The last time was right. To approve certification of the 2014 tax anticipation tax note proceeds revenue
As revenue.
as revenue. Thank you. Yeah, one more time. We're getting ready to vote to approve certification of the 2014 tax anticipation tax note proceeds as revenue. That's your understanding of the motion and the second. Very good. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion carries.